at times in the face of opposition, indifference, or difficult circumstances. But like Jeremiah, let us keep going. Do not lose heart. May each of us continue to supplicate God, lean on Him, and muster up boldness as we look to Him for help. Being true worshipers, we must continue to keep awake to our God-given responsibilities. We need to be determined to keep preaching without let-up about the destruction of Christendom, which was foreshadowed by that of unfaithful Jerusalem. The Jeremiah class will declare not just the year of goodwill on the part of Jehovah, but also the day of vengeance on the part of our God. Isaiah 61, 1 and 2. Heartfelt joy. Paragraph 12. Question. Why may we conclude that Jeremiah maintained his joy, and what was a key element in his doing so? Jeremiah found joy in his work. He said to Jehovah, "Your words were found, and I proceeded to eat them. And your word becomes to me the exultation and the rejoicing of my heart, for your name has been called upon me, O Jehovah." Jeremiah 15:16. For Jeremiah, it was a privilege to represent the true God and preach His word. It is of interest that when Jeremiah focused on the ridicule from the people, he lost his joy. When he turned his attention to the beauty and importance of his message, his joy was rekindled. Paragraph 13. Question. Why is feeding on deeper spiritual truths important in our maintaining joy? To maintain joy in the preaching work in our day, we need to feed ourselves on solid food, deep truths of God's Word. Deeper study builds faith. It impresses on us how our actions really touch Jehovah's heart. If we are struggling to find time to read and study the Bible, we should re-examine our schedule. Even a few minutes of study and meditation each day will draw us closer to Jehovah and will contribute to the exaltation and rejoicing of the heart, as was true in Jeremiah's case. Paragraphs 14 and 15. Question A. What fruitage resulted from Jeremiah's faithfully sticking to his commission? Question B. God's people today appreciate what about the preaching work? Jeremiah did declare Jehovah's warnings and judgment message without let-up, yet he had at heart his commission to build and to plant. Jeremiah 1:10. His work of building and planting bore fruitage. Some Jews as well as non-Israelites survived Jerusalem's destruction in 607 BCE. We know of the Rechabites, Ebed-Melech, and Barak. These loyal and God-fearing friends of Jeremiah well illustrate those having an earthly hope today who befriend the Jeremiah class. Great is the pleasure of the Jeremiah class in spiritually building up this great crowd. Likewise, these loyal companions of the Anointed find immense satisfaction in assisting honest-hearted ones to come to a knowledge of the truth. God's people appreciate that the preaching of the good news is not only a public service to those who hear it, but also an act of worship to our God. Whether we find a receptive ear or not, rendering sacred service to Jehovah by means of our preaching brings us great joy. Romans 1:9 reads, "For God, to whom I render sacred service with my spirit in connection with the good news about His Son, is my witness of how without ceasing I always make mention of you in my prayers." Keep awake to your assignment. Paragraphs 16 and 17. Question. How do Revelation 17:10 and Habakkuk 2:3 show the urgency of our times? The urgency of the times we live in is underscored when we consider the inspired prophecy at Revelation 17:10. The seventh king, the Anglo-American world power, has come into existence. Concerning it we read, "When he, the seventh world power, does arrive, he must remain a short while." By now, that short while must be near its completion. The prophet Habakkuk gives us this assurance concerning the end of this wicked system. "The vision is yet for the appointed time. Keep in expectation of it, for it will without fail come true. It will not be late." Habakkuk 2:3. Ask yourself, does my life truly reflect the urgency of our times? Does my way of life show that I expect the end to come soon? Or do my decisions and priorities indicate that I do not expect the end anytime soon, or even that I am not sure if it will ever come? Paragraphs 18 and 19. Question: why is now not the time to slow down? The work of the Watchman class is not yet over. Jeremiah 1:17-19 reads, "And as for you, you should gird up your hips, and you must rise up and speak to them everything that I myself command you. Do not be struck with any terror because of them, in order that I may not strike you with terror before them. But as for me, here I have made you today a fortified city, and an iron pillar and copper walls against all the land, toward the kings of Judah, toward her princes, toward her priests, and toward the people of the land. And they will be certain to fight against you, but they will not prevail against you. For I am with you, is the utterance of Jehovah, to deliver you." What a source of joy it is that the anointed remnant are standing immovable, like an iron pillar and a fortified city. They have their loins girded about with truth, and that they allow God's word to strengthen them until their commissioned work is completed. Ephesians 6:14. With similar determination, those of the great crowd actively support the Jeremiah class in carrying out its divine assignment. Now is not the time to slow down in kingdom activity, but to consider the import of Jeremiah 12:5, which reads, "Because with footmen you have run, and they would tire you out, how then can you run a race with horses? And in the land of peace are you confident? So how will you act among the proud thickets along the Jordan?" All of us face trials that we must endure. These tests of faith may be compared to footmen with whom we must run. Nonetheless, as the great tribulation approaches, we can expect hardships to increase. Grappling with the more challenging difficulties ahead may be likened to running a race with horses. It would require great powers of endurance for a man to keep up with galloping horses. So it is beneficial to endure the trials we now face, which may prepare us to endure those that lie ahead. Paragraph 20. Question: what are you determined to do? We can all imitate Jeremiah and successfully fulfill our assignment to preach. Such qualities as love, courage, and joy moved Jeremiah to carry out his 67-year-long ministry faithfully. The beautiful almond blossom reminds us that Jehovah will keep awake concerning His word in order to carry it out. We have good reason then to do likewise. Jeremiah kept awake, and so can we. After listening to this article, do you recall: how did love help Jeremiah keep awake to his commission? Why do we need God-given courage? What helped Jeremiah maintain his joy? Why do you want to keep awake? End of article. For further information, please visit our website at www.watchtower.org. End of magazine.